across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a very good evening to you. This is Talk, and it is Petrie here with you for the next 3 hours. And coming up at midnight, well, actually before then, because this is very exciting, there is a countdown to Artemis 2 taking off for a historic moon mission. The astronauts is Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen. So this is a first. This is the first time that a woman has gone outside of the Earth's orbit. I believe it's also the first time that a black guy has gone into as far into space as this as well. So there are a lot of firsts here, and there's a Canadian flying as well. So all of that is coming up. This is the first time a crewed mission has taken place to the moon since 1972. Do you remember 1972? And what are your memories of that? And what are your memories of the moon landing? And do you believe, I mean, this is always a thing, isn't it? There are so many people who don't believe that we've ever been to the moon as a species. And I'd like to hear from you if you're one of them. If you're one of those, conspiracy theorists, I suppose I would say. There's one thing that makes me go, and that is, how did they get the photographs back so quickly? That's the only thing that bugs me about it, because from the moon landing, the photographs were in the papers the next day, I think. So I'm kind of thinking, well, did they have the sign? So that's just one thing that somebody said a few weeks ago, actually, and I went, oh yeah, I'd never really thought about that before. So anyway, I want to talk about that, and also what I want to talk about is the astronauts are being allowed to take one personal item each, or a personal item each. I want to know what you would take to the moon, your personal item, if you were to fly to the moon. So that's what we're going to talk about at midnight. It's a bit different phone-in for us. We're going to lighten it up a bit, and hopefully, fingers crossed, there will be a launch during this programme. I've just been told that they're having issues. There's some kind of issue they've got to get over, but they are trying to fix it. It'll be already loaded up with its liquid hydrogen. The last Artemis 1 that went up, which was not crewed, they had a problem with the heating shield. It all cracked. So they'll be double checking and triple checking all of that as well. The astronauts have been preparing for this for years, and indeed they're all getting ready. The countdown clock says minus 1 hour, 17 minutes to go. I'm quite excited. Are you excited? What do you think? I think this is big. This is a historic moment. It genuinely is. So I'd love to hear from you. This is they're going to make history. They're going to be up there for 10 days. And I've had a look at some of the medical conditions, some of the medical things that they go through after 10 days in space. It's an extreme sport. On your body, I tell you that much. But Cape Canaveral is ready and getting very excited. 400,000 people apparently are there watching this happening in real time, and everybody's really excited about it. Look, this is exactly what human beings should be doing. Forget all the stupid wars that we're wasting trillions on around the globe. We're better than that. This is what we are. This is what we should be, not some warmongering idiots just slaughtering each other for no apparent reason. So I'm very excited about this. I hope you stay with me along the journey. We're going to be cutting to and from Cape Canaveral all the way through. If there's anything to tell you, we'll tell you. Did you know that the rocket can't take off if it's raining? I'm a little bit confused about that. Why would a bit of rain stop a rocket taking off? If it's that flimsy, I'm not sure I'd go on it. But let's wait and see. Let's hope that it is actually going to happen. It's going to happen. If it does happen, it's between 11:24 and 1:24. So I hope that we're on air when it does happen. But we will actually be talking about it at midnight anyway, because I want to know what you think about it all. And if you are excited, has this engaged you? Maybe it hasn't. But we're quite excited here. We quite like this story a lot. So that's what's coming up at midnight. We're also going to be discussing the trip to the moon in about 45 minutes' time. Let me just get Dr. David Horn, who's an associate professor of physics and astronomy at Gannon University in Pennsylvania. So hopefully he'll be able to talk us through what they're worried about, what they're concerned with, the most dangerous part of the mission, which I believe is re-entry. We're also going to be talking to Kevin Schofield over some of the politics that have been happening this week in this country. Oh, and Claire Muldoon will be here as well at 11 o'clock to go through the papers and hopefully to witness the rocket taking off, Artemis 2. So let's wait and see. Let's hope. This is the good thing about live radio, isn't it, or live telly. Never know what's going to happen next, but we're hoping that things will go to plan. Now, though, talking of things not going to plan, it's the war in Iran with Donald Trump. Seemingly, we were told at the weekend that he was bored of the war. He's fed up with talking about it, doesn't want to do it anymore. And that, on top of what we talked about yesterday, was him saying that he's getting ready just to leave the Strait of Hormuz. That was yesterday. I also mentioned, of course, about the potential of him leaving NATO yesterday. And today, that is the big story, that Donald Trump has said he's strongly considering removing the US from the NATO alliance. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization is an intergovernmental military alliance, the most successful in history, by the way, between 32 member states, 30 in Europe and 2 in North America. NATO was established in the aftermath of World War II with the signing of the North Atlantic Treaty in 1949. No country has ever left the alliance, because why would you? But to do that, a country needs to give notice of denunciation with 1 year notice, ironically, to the US government. So they have to give notice to themselves. So how likely is it that Trump could do that? And what would happen if he did? It would weaken America. He doesn't see it, but it would. Well, joining me now is a man who knows, Keir Giles, a senior fellow at Chatham House and author of The Most Pertinent Question in the World Right Now, a great book that I've read, of Who Will Defend Europe. It's good to see you, Keir. How are you?
Hello again, Petrie. Yes, busy as you can imagine.
Yeah, I can imagine. Right. Well, this plays right into your wheelhouse. Okay. Donald Trump has threatened this before. He's never been a fan of NATO, even in his first go around as president. He's not a fan. And also, ironically, he says Putin isn't a fan either. Well, we know why Putin isn't a fan, because NATO would destroy him. But Donald Trump, what's his issue?
Well, first of all, let's take what he is saying Putin is telling him about NATO. It's specifically about NATO being, as Trump put it, a paper tiger, not something to be concerned about. And the worrying thing is that if Putin feels that he can share this view with Trump, and then Trump feels that he can share it with the world, that confirms a lot of what we've seen from Trump about his attitude to NATO overall. Whenever the United States is talking about NATO at the moment, it's like about a third party, like about something that the United States is not part of but has to deal with. Even in the conversations with Russia about a settlement in Ukraine, it's been in some cases the United States apparently brokering a peace agreement between NATO and Russia, despite the fact that it is, as you mentioned just now, the depository state, the country that actually looks after the North Atlantic Treaty. So all of this together, you mentioned as well, is not a surprise. Trump made the same kind of noises in his first term in office, and that was so alarming for some of the grown-ups in American politics that Congress actually passed a law to say that the president cannot remove the United States from NATO.
That was Marco Rubio that drafted that, wasn't it? Ironically,
right.
yeah. So that was
a different
Rubio.
Marco Rubio to the one
That
we
was a
have
different
today.
Marco Rubio then.
Yeah.
But yeah, ironically, that was Rubio who said no, we can't give him the power to pull out of NATO. So where is he getting the power from now?
Well, we've seen the way he's attempting to work around laws and the Constitution by either issuing executive orders, which he thinks carry a lot more weight than they actually do in the American system, or just going ahead and doing it anyway and waiting for the courts to catch up and try and stop him. There's a court case in the Supreme Court going through at the moment where Trump wants to do something fundamentally unconstitutional, change the birthright to citizenship. If you're born in the United States, you're supposed to be entitled to citizenship under an amendment to the Constitution. He wants to abolish that in order to target children of immigrants, and that's the argument that's going on at the moment. So the fact that there have been all of these laws, these understandings, these elements of the Constitution is not a deterrent to him. But when it comes to leaving NATO, of course, to torpedo the alliance, he doesn't have to leave it. He can just withdraw US cooperation as much as he wants, and that, of course, will pull the rug from under everything where the United States is the core ally.
Yeah, I mean, that was the other thing, wasn't it? He just has to be really woolly about Articles 4 and 5, doesn't he? I mean, he literally, because it's not guaranteed, you don't have to join in to support your NATO, fellow NATO members. So, but if he throws that around, if there is this, well, he said, you're on your own now. You know, America will not be there for you.
Again, this is something that he was saying in his first term, actually inviting Russia to come on and attack NATO member states.
Yeah.
And Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty that you just mentioned, the article that says that if there's an attack on one country, it has to be thought of as an attack on all of them, and therefore it implies, it doesn't force them to do something about it, has already been undermined by all of these Trump statements. But for Russia, looking at this, they won't make a move on NATO until they are absolutely convinced that the United States is not going to turn up, and I don't think we're at that point yet.
But if we look at NATO, removing himself from NATO, he's saying it's because we didn't jump to his aid during this war of choice. But has nobody explained to him what NATO is? And that what NATO has done in the past for America at great financial and human life cost.
Well, this is not the first time we've been here with Trump fundamentally misunderstanding the nature of the alliance. In his first term, it was about who was paying what towards their defense, where Trump appeared to think it was a kind of protection racket where everybody pays bills to the United States for protection, as opposed to the deficiencies being actually in providing their own defense. He's not talking about that so much anymore. Maybe after all these years it has sunk in that that is not exactly how NATO works. But no, plainly there's the expectation that NATO is an alliance which is under US command to go and fight the United States' wars. In fact, it's one of the ways where the Washington, D.C. is becoming so much more like Moscow. The Warsaw Pact worked in exactly that way, and that's the assumption that Trump seems to be carrying across and applying to NATO.
So he genuinely thinks that the NATO countries should have come to his support in this, where there are questions over its legality, as indeed there was over the Iraq War, but there is questions over the legality of this, and also we weren't going to anybody's defence here.
Well, it's always a little hard to tell what Trump genuinely thinks, but that's certainly the view that's been expressed by others in the Trump inner circle, which is ironic because it was specifically the United States that limited the scope of NATO to say that it would not carry out any actions outside the Euro-Atlantic area. It was concerned about getting dragged into the post-colonial fights of European countries and very specifically limited the scope of what NATO could do. Now, of course, demanding that NATO do something which was explicitly outside that scope and, in effect, just join in a war of choice that, as you mentioned, is almost certainly illegal and is being prosecuted in a fundamentally incompetent way for rescuing the United States from the consequences of Trump's whims.
So if we look at the cost of America if they were to leave, and I was listening to somebody earlier on who said we've only got to put up with this nonsense for a couple more years. So there's a sense that whatever he does will be undone by the next administration. But nonetheless, the turmoil that could create and the appetite from people like Putin that could be whetted by this, it would. How catastrophic would it be if he said, "Right, that's it, we're out"?
Well, first of all, I'm a little surprised now every time I hear people say that we've only got to wait a couple more years and Trump will be gone. I think that overlooks all of the intense efforts that the Trump administration is putting into being able to either influence the outcome of elections or not hold them altogether. And the only thing that is stopping Trump having a third term is the Constitution, which, as we were discussing earlier, he is quite prepared to flout. So let's not hope that we can wait Trump out, because he's working very hard to make sure that he's still going to be in place after the end of his notional term. If they were to go ahead, obviously it's going to take time. It's something which is a long and complicated process, disengaging the United States from an alliance for which it forms the backbone. If it's done precipitately, if Russia does what, for example, if the United States does what Russia did in the 1990s and pulls out in an unprepared and uncoordinated manner from Europe, then, of course, it will be chaotic and immensely dangerous.
Because at the moment, Trump, or whoever's advising him, I really don't know. It's probably Bagpuss as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, I don't get it that he doesn't understand that if he were to remove America from NATO, he loses, or America loses, all of the bases and the power that they have across the world. You know, where he's storing his spare weapons, where he's keeping, the special troops, where he's keeping aircraft. You know, that will all go. I mean, America would be much smaller for him pulling out of NATO, surely.
Well, there are people within the US system now that, if they did not realize it before, certainly realize it now in the context of the war on Iran, that the United States can't run all of this from its own territory.
Exactly that.
The cooperation. So that message, I think, is getting across. But what that doesn't mean is the United States understanding that this has to be a cooperative arrangement, as opposed to the United States simply issuing orders to those countries that they will host these bases and they will cooperate in the United States' wars. That's a very different arrangement to the way in which NATO has been set up, and I don't think that has yet percolated through to whoever is making the decisions for Trump.
I mean, he's losing face all over the world, and I'm also surprised, Keir, that Saudi Arabia and the UAE and those other countries in the region still believe that America can provide security for them.
Well, let's watch how that develops. I think Trump won't have done his relationship with Saudi Arabia any favors by talking about Saudi leaders kissing his ass in public, as he referred to it. So I'm sure it is not just Europe and not just East Asian countries that are liberal democracies looking for alternative sources of security from the United States. Anywhere will be reassessing its relationships with Washington at this point and seeing where they can find security.
Is there an opportunity here? Can NATO survive? Could it survive an American withdrawal?
Technically, yes. In theory, there's no reason why not. But, of course, what we haven't seen is Europe preparing for this moment, despite the fact that it has been so obvious for so long that this was going to be an issue, even under the previous US administration. The reluctance of the Biden administration to support Ukraine fully when resisting this onslaught from Russia was something that the other frontline states looked at and said, well, the same thing could happen to us for the same reasons, because the United States then was so petrified of damaging Russia, and now, of course, is cooperating with Russia for entirely different reasons. So this is not a new problem. But so many Western European countries have simply failed to address it with the urgency that it needs, including, of course, the UK, where more and more people are now realizing that we don't have the armed forces that a lot of people took for granted for so long. They simply don't exist anymore.
What about the relationship, though, between Russia and I'm going to say Trump rather than the US, but because the Pentagon must know, right, that Russia is feeding Iran with coordinates and intelligence, as indeed the Chinese are. America might expect that from China, but how does Donald Trump square that circle? That his great mate is helping target American forces.
Well, as you suggested, it's not just Trump. It's people around Trump as well. He's not pulling all of the strings. There are like-minded individuals around him, a very small number of them compared
like
to
Hegseth.
what used to be Hegseth, Vance, Rubio, what used to be the policy establishment in the United States, which would have worked out all of the obvious consequences of launching an Iran war previously, but has all been dismissed, sacked, fired, purged by the new administration. So there are a very small number of people taking decisions, apparently. And they have explicitly said, with regard to what you mentioned about Iran is being assisted by Russia in killing Americans and targeting American facilities, they've said, we don't care. There is nothing, it seems, that Russia can do that will reduce this desire to get along with Russia and to do whatever it is that Moscow wants.
I mean, that is terrifying. That even if the deaths of some of those service people is on Russia's hands, that they don't care. That they're so... What the heck compromat have they got?
Well, it is... Nobody quite knows exactly what the reason behind it is. The different explanations that have been given by Trump and those around him are, if you listen to Witkoff, it's, well, the Russians have said they're not doing it, so I believe them, which we know how valuable that is. If you listen to other members of that inner circle of the administration, it's, well, we support Ukraine, so plainly Russia is going to support Iran. It's accepting the rules of the game that they think that they are playing, where there are no consequences for Moscow for doing this.
I mean, Putin must be laughing himself to sleep every night at the moment. You know, given that he is effectively managing to destroy the strength of NATO.
Well, and particularly of the United States, primarily of the United States at the moment. Not only the vast quantities of munitions that are being expended on this war on Iran, but also, of course, directly benefiting Russia through easing the sanctions on Russian oil and the spike in the oil price, which has thrown Russia an economic lifeline again at the point when a lot of people were starting to think Russia was finally running out of cash, and that might finally have an impact on their ability to prosecute their war on Ukraine.
It is unbelievable times. I think we've slipped into a different timeline, Keir, and I want to go back. But thank you, as ever, brilliant. Keir Giles there, Senior Fellow at Chatham House and author of, really is a good book, you need to read it, Who Will Defend Europe? Never before has a question like that been so pertinent. Right, quick break. Back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there and a good evening to you. This is Talk and it is Petrie, and we've just found out the latest on the launch. NASA has resolved the issue. So it's all systems go. The issue was resolved with the abort system, which is used to destroy the rocket or veer it off course if it recognises a safety threat. And most excitedly, the final hatch is now closed. So the astronauts are alone in the rocket, waiting for that countdown to happen. You're looking, I think there are images of Cape Canaveral, people inside NASA are watching on a big screen to see what's happening. It's 55 minutes and 39 seconds. That is the countdown clock. That's what it's saying. We're just looking at images now of them preparing. So this was earlier on in the day. So the astronauts have been there all day and just going through final notes and getting their suits on, their orange safety suits. All four of them there, all buzzing. I mean, how exciting must that be? Can you imagine? Terrifying as well. Mind you, a lot of them have been test pilots and done all sorts of really incredible things and been up into space before, but none, as far as I know, as far as they are going on this mission. It's a 10-day mission. Like I said, they're going to go around the dark side of the moon where they'll be out of contact. There's nothing that can penetrate through the moon. We won't be able to speak to them. There is one safety concern that I was reading earlier, and that is there's some sort of solar flare they're concerned about from the sun, because of course when they're on the other side of the moon there's nothing to protect them there, but hopefully they just come back round the moon and then they come back to Earth and then they re-enter. So those are the images at the moment. If they do show us images from inside the rocket, inside Artemis 2, with them sitting there preparing and waiting, we will then bring those images to you live. And I'm so sorry for those of you who are listening to this. I will try to describe it to you as best as I can. If you're listening on radio, I know that's frustrating when I say, oh, look at that, isn't that great? But the images really are very special on this. So if you've got a chance, if you're at home, try and go to YouTube and watch us on there or wherever you watch this programme, because some of the images are great. And this is a historic moment. For this mission, the Kennedy Space Center there. The rocket itself is sort of orange in colour. Is it orange or brown? A massive rocket there with it looks like two fuel tanks bolted to the outside. That's all I can see from this side. It's probably got three, but there's two fuel tanks attached to the rocket, which will be holding tons of liquid hydrogen. So that was put on board earlier on in the day as well. So I want to talk to you about this at midnight. Like I said, we are going to be keeping an eye on this. The moon mission launch window opens in 53 minutes. That's when it opens. I think it closes 2 hours later. So I want to talk to you about this. I want to hear if you're excited about this. What would you take to the moon? This is one of the things that I read earlier on today, and I loved it so much, is to look at the personal items that they've decided to take to the moon with them. And some of them are quite sweet, I think. So we'll talk about those a little bit later on. But what would you take to the moon? If you were going on a trip to the moon, what would you take with you? Bearing in mind it can't be a person. I mean, obviously I'd want to take my dogs, but I wouldn't be allowed to do that. So, what would you take to the moon? We're going to be talking about that at midnight. But it's probably not enough money to get you quite to the moon, but it would sort out a few debts, I imagine. We're giving you the chance to win £20,000 completely tax-free here on Talk. That's £20,000 straight to your bank account. Spend it, save it, splash it. It's entirely up to you. Here's how you could be in with a chance of winning it.
For your chance to win, text TALK to 83338. Texts cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or call 0343 418 7260. Lines close 9th of April 2026, 4 p.m. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talk.tv/win. So for your chance to win, text TALK to 83338 now.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk. I've just learned something really interesting. This is really important. This would be very important to me when I go up into space. That Artemis 2 has a toilet on board. I know. It has a toilet. Not much privacy because the inside of there is the size of a camper van. So it's like a camper van toilet. 5 metres by 3 metres, that's the size of the whole thing. So they're saying there's not much privacy, but it's still an improvement because the likes of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin had, let's put collection bags attached to their bottoms. So it is an improvement. So they can. How does that work though in zero gravity? That is going to trouble me. Anyway, we're going to keep an eye on what's going on, not the toilet, but we're going to keep an eye on the space mission. And joining me now is Kevin Schofield, political editor at the Huffington Post UK. Hi, Kevin. The things you learn.
Yeah, I know. I hadn't thought about Neil Armstrong trying to...
Yeah, it's important. I mean, maybe it's more important for girls, for women. It's just that, a toilet would be a deal breaker for me.
Yeah, if I was given the choice, I'd prefer to go to the moon in something that had a toilet. Given the alternative.
Given the alternative, I think it's important stuff and it's educational, Kevin. We're educating people.
I completely agree.
I wonder if Keir Starmer would like to be aboard that mission just to get away from it all for a few days. How do you think he did today? Did that speech today, this sort of, prime ministerial, this is what we're doing because of what's going on with Iran. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I kind of struggled to see what the point of it was, really. There was no real...
There was nothing new.
No, there was one thing about this sort of fresh coalition of the willing style summit, but not about Ukraine this time, about trying to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Basically an admission that America, or Donald Trump in particular, can no longer be relied upon as a trustworthy ally. So all the other Western countries basically have to meet themselves and try to figure out how they're going to cope with the problems of the world without America to rely on. So a bit like the other coalition of the willing. So they're meeting tomorrow. It's a virtual meeting being led by Yvette Cooper, the Foreign Secretary, to see what political and diplomatic steps can be taken to try and get the Strait of Hormuz reopened. It looks pretty bleak at the moment, I have to say. What Donald Trump talking about, on the one hand, talking about basically walking away, and it's up to you guys to try and reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
I mean, we all saw that coming, right? I mean, that is Trump all over.
Well, it is, yeah. Although he's also saying now that there won't be an end to the war until the Strait of Hormuz is open. So, in the space of 12 hours, the guy flips from one thing to another. He's got this big statement that he's making to the American people at 2 a.m. our time. So we'll see when we wake up tomorrow morning, I guess, what on earth his position is on the war now. But yeah, I think it makes sense really for other countries to basically work on the assumption that America's not going to be around. It's certainly not going to be a trustworthy ally, and they have to fight their own battles. But it's a pretty grim state.
I mean, it's an extraordinary thing. We downplay it because there's been quite a build up to this situation. But that is quite an amazing statement to make, that America is not a trustworthy ally. We don't stop to consider sometimes just how earth-shattering that is for us, right?
Oh, no, absolutely. It's pretty terrifying, actually. In fact, there was a story in the Times, I think it was last week, in which diplomatic sources were basically saying, the worst-case scenario, and it could happen, is that America actually becomes an enemy.
Yeah.
Or that America basically does a deal with Russia.
They're already doing deals with Russia.
Well, yeah, I mean, we know that Trump certainly has a fascination with Putin. Let's say he's got a fascination with other strongman leaders. President Xi in China as well. So he is, you just cannot rely on the guy from one day to the next, and it just makes it look ridiculous that one, we gave him a second state visit last year, and now we've got King Charles going to America for a state visit later this month, and all this trying to toady to Trump and cozy up to him and getting his good books. It doesn't matter a jot to the guy. He will only look out for himself first, then America. And at the moment, he seems to have a real bee in his bonnet about Britain and Keir Starmer's refusal initially to let America use RAF bases to attack Iran. And ever since then, he is basically almost on a daily basis being very critical of the UK, Keir Starmer, our armed forces. And
he's not used to people saying no. I mean, you can imagine Trump as a toddler. Nobody ever said no to him.
No, and you see that when he has a cabinet meeting, and you see them all sitting there, and it's like something from North Korea. They all have to basically pay tribute and say what a wonderful president he is. It's a golden age in America, and he's solving all America's problems and ignoring all the problems that he's caused as a result of this war. And it's a pretty unedifying sight. And you're right, the fact that Keir Starmer has actually stood up to him, not for very long, really. I mean, 24 hours later, we said, you can use the bases. It didn't even last all that long. And yet Trump has decided that Starmer is persona non grata, and Britain as well, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, when he was talking earlier on, he is quite emphatic, Starmer, about this is not our war, we will not be dragged into it. But I can't help but think that if we do end up having to free up the Strait of Hormuz, that's exactly what will happen. That is exactly what could happen. And so, he can say all the words, but we all know that if we have to, by force, free the Strait of Hormuz, then that is a war.
Yeah, and it comes down to how you define involvement. Really, I mean, we are sending more troops and military hardware to
defensive hardware, to our allies,
to the region. We are, British jets are flying missions to defend our allies in the Gulf. They're shooting down missiles. They're shooting down drones. Some people would say we are involved in the war now. Clearly, we're not involved to the same extent as Israel and America. We're not actively bombing targets in Iran, but we are sort of in the mix because we are having to fly these defensive missions to try and protect our allies. And you're right, who's to say that if and when we are called upon, along with other allies, to help defend the Strait of Hormuz, even if it's open, what's to stop Iran from doing it again? So I guess there would have to be some sort of international task force sent out to police the Strait of Hormuz, potentially putting themselves in harm's way. That would, I guess, be some sort of involvement, certainly in the region. So it's all very well Keir Starmer getting up saying this is not our war. Well, unfortunately, you might not seek war, but sometimes war seeks out you, and Britain will have to respond.
Has this bought Keir a bit more time, though? Do you think the war happening and him being at the start quite strong, sounding quite strong now, although he's not really delivering for the British people in a way that they've missed a chance here to get back on the good side of us. Do you think that this has bought him a bit more time, or are the May elections just going to come and wipe him out anyway?
No, I think it probably has. I think it's one of the things buying him time right now. I completely agree with you, Petrie. I think the elections in May are going to be absolutely catastrophic for Labour, and in any other circumstance, it probably would precipitate his departure from number 10. But you're right, we are in the middle of a war. We can argue about whether we're involved or not, but it would seem I think that is it's a difficult time, really, given the global situation, to really start, getting rid of your Prime Minister and having a leadership contest. I think I speak to some MPs who think that would just be completely insane. And also
it would be
the
a
fact
bit crass, wouldn't it?
It would really. There are bigger things at play here globally, but also, you look at the alternatives to Keir Starmer, and none of them are really in a position right now to take over. Angela Rayner, she's definitely on manoeuvres, but she's still got this tax thing hanging over her. A lot of Labour MPs are far from convinced that she would do a better job than Keir Starmer. West Streeting, it's all going a little bit quiet there because of the Peter Mandelson connection. That's damaged him. Andy Burnham, as we know, is still not an MP. Ed Miliband, his name gets thrown around. I think he'd come up with quite a lot of resistance inside the Parliamentary Labour Party as well. So at the moment, Starmer looks like the least worst option. But, who's to say? Someone might just go mad on the 8th of May, sort of looking at the ruins of the Labour Party and say, right, let's just go for it, and somebody resigns. I still don't think that'll happen. I think he'll probably stumble on for the next few months anyway. But it's still an awful long way till the next election.
Yeah, it is. But I just got my poll card actually for the May elections.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah. Just got it, I think, yesterday. Kevin, it's always lovely to see you. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. Kevin Schofield, political editor at the Huffington Post UK. There's just the very latest on the space rocket. We're going to go in just a minute, but I wanted to bring you up to date. The issue with the abort system battery reporting to be a temperature beyond the expected range. Oh, no. And they're saying if it's still an issue at, I've always wanted to say this, T-minus 6 minutes, that's 18 minutes past 11, then they will abort. No! The launch pad is currently being cleared, so all the technicians that are sort of bolting them into the rocket and checking final checks and all that kind of thing, they're just about to clear the launch pad. So it's a good sign, but this temperature thing, it could, a little battery bringing the whole thing to a standstill. Oh. Quick break, back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, this is Talk, and we're all very excited here because we're hoping it's 34 minutes to go until the window opens for this rocket to take off, Artemis 2. Joining me now to discuss this is Dr. David Horn, who's an Associate Professor of Physics and Astronomy at Gannon University in Pennsylvania. It's so good to talk to you. We're honestly all so excited here. We're looking at the countdown, but there seems to be a little problem with a battery or a sensor.
Yeah, just a little one. So that problem cropped up and then it disappeared and then it raised its head again.
Oh.
Yeah.
Could it really be that a battery stops the whole process?
It really could. I mean, the thing we have to take into account now is, think about something like a car today versus a car 50 years ago, all the sensors and all the things that you have on it that give you all sorts of warnings. And this vehicle has so many sensors to warn you of all these tiny little things that 50 years ago we may not have even known went wrong in the Apollo days. So you've got this issue that this tiny little battery, it could be that problematic. If it is still with the onboard safety mechanism, which I believe it is, looking at the feed there, that could be a big issue, which hopefully they can fix. Sometimes it's those little things that gum up the works.
Yeah, I mean, when the sensors go telling me I've got a flat tyre, they're lying. So I'm just hoping that...
Yeah, you could have driven across the country on a flat tyre one time a day and never known.
And never, ever known it.
Right.
How special is this launch? How important is this to the whole space programme?
I would say right now this is a very important mission, possibly the most important mission, I think, for the whole Artemis program in some ways, because it's been delayed a lot. It's had a lot of issues. And this is really the mission where it'd be great to prove this hardware. It'd be great to show that people can go to the moon and we can do it well before it moves on to the next phase. So I think the space program really needs this to be a good win to really show that what they've done is working,
Why has it taken so long? There's a lot of people saying, well, if we did land on the moon decades ago, why has it taken so long to get back up there?
Well, I feel, something like Apollo had a lot of political impetus behind it. And they went there, they sort of sprinted there and then decided to stop. Had we been sensible and continued to go back for the last 50 years, the history would be very different, of course. But we didn't. So they restarted this, and it's a bit of a race again, of course, because China has space aspirations. China want to land on the moon. And, I've seen people say things like, we're boldly going, we've gone before. This time I think a more positive thing would to say we're boldly going to stay somewhere and go and stay there, So we're sort of looking now for the conclusion of the Artemis mission to really be to start looking at building moon bases and things like that by the end of it, to start having a constant presence. And I think a successful launch here and a successful mission will be the beginning of that.
Why didn't they decide to land on the moon this time? I mean, again, people are saying we've done it before, we know the technology, we know it works, and it was so many years ago, the technology now would be so improved. Why are they just going around the moon?
Well, I think we've got to realize that if you look at the Apollo program, which is the only program really that's gone to the moon like that, that did exactly the same thing. They sent Apollo 8. It went around the moon and then came back to prove that it could be done. And then we had a lander. And then they tested the lander and then they landed on it. And this is, by all accounts, a new spacecraft. It looks like the Apollo spacecraft, like a beefier version, but all of the technology on it is very new. It's state of the art. When you have a spacecraft like that, it's best to test it first before you just trust on a lander and then wind up with people stuck on the moon, which would be a very unfortunate end to your mission. So I think they're being rightfully cautious. I think they've got confidence, but you've still got to be cautious.
Well, was it reckless then when we landed on the moon before? Was that just more luck than judgment? Was it a reckless thing to do? Because again, you're looking at quite a delay between the two journeys. And they're obviously they're more risk adverse now and all of those things. So was it really just a bit gung ho before?
I wouldn't call it reckless. I would say there was more immediacy to those missions. They really wanted to beat the Russians there and get it done. And what you've got to remember is NASA's funding in its heyday today is a far cry from what it was back in the 1960s. They spent a lot of money to get Apollo off the ground. The engineers today are working with a fraction of that budget, and that means they're probably doing the best job they can, and it's taking more time, so they have less failures, they have less issues, and that's a big issue. Is if it had Apollo level funding, I don't think we'd be looking at this kind of issue, these kinds of delays that we see.
Well, we just got an update here, David, which is the weather is now being reported 90% favourable, so it's gone up from 80% favourable, showing clear skies and no rain. Now, I cannot understand how rain can stop a rocket from taking off. Why is that such a... why would rain stop it? Surely it just goes through the rain clouds.
Well, you have a lot of issues with weather. Sometimes it's not particularly the rain. If you have, say, thunderclouds and things like that, you don't want to fly through those. You don't want to get a static shock and build up a charge on the outside of your vehicle that could damage your electrical systems and things like that. Rain also affects visibility, of course, and there's going to be a lot of ground-based observation, telescopes and cameras and things watching this rocket as it takes off, to watch how it turns, to watch how it's behaving, to report back any problems. So there's a couple of issues with that, and visibility being a big one. One of the Apollo rockets was actually struck by lightning, and they reset a few switches and they were fine again. You really don't want that, though. It's not
I just thought a bit of rain, with this rocket, is the takeoff, because I've been reading that re-entry is the most dangerous part will be the most dangerous part of this mission. But takeoff, we've seen some disasters with, haven't we?
We have, unfortunately. The most dangerous parts are obviously takeoff and re-entry. The
same as on an aircraft, isn't it? To be honest,
basically takeoff and landing. Cruise is very infrequent that anything happens during a cruise phase of a plane or anything else. But when you're launching a rocket, I don't think anyone would consider it routine. And of course, you've got all those moving parts. You've got all that fuel on board. It is a dangerous moment, of course. What we're seeing here with them looking at these holds, try and fit potential holds, of course, try and fix problems, is trying to mitigate those kinds of disasters. And when you're talking about a re-entry, of course, I think that this capsule is probably pretty good. The problems that we've had with re-entries before have been with heat shield damage and things like that. There's no reason to believe that a pristine spacecraft like this, unless something happened in space, would have a re-entry problem. But yes, those are your two problems, launch and re-entry.
So when this does take off, keeping our fingers crossed here.
Yeah, but let's be positive and say
let's be positive.
So, let's do that. Yeah.
Let's do that. So the fuel stays with it until it goes through the atmosphere. Is that right? So the fuel to take it off, and then does that break away?
So this particular rocket is very much like the space shuttle used to be, where you had those two big boosters on the outside, and they drop away after the initial launch phase and can be recovered. And the rest of the rocket continues.
Right.
So once it gets into space, then that big orange part of the rocket, that big orange fuel tank section, that's going to boost them into orbit, basically. And then that will drop away, and you'll be left with the spacecraft on the top there, just that little module on the top.
The little white module on the top.
Yes, that white thing will come off the top, and the solar panels will unfurl, and it'll look something like the Apollo module did, but a bit beefier.
And that's what will go round the moon.
And that's what will go to the moon. Yep. And that's what will do the orbit around the moon and bring them home again.
And they've tested, of course, before the slingshot effect, haven't they, from coming back around the moon?
They sent an uncrewed version of this very spacecraft with just remotely controlled around the moon. So we know it can successfully make it there and back with no particular effects.
We just got some more news. That's so exciting. The battery is working fine. The issue is being linked to the sensor. But they're still investigating the problem. So there we go. We might be looking at a launch. Yeah, positive thinking.
Just like your car, turn the sensor off and don't worry about the problem.
Do you know what? That's exactly what I do as well.
Yeah.
It's been such a pleasure talking to you. I hope I get a chance to do it again. Thank you very much indeed. Dr. David Horn, then, Associate Professor of Physics and Astronomy at Gannon University in Pennsylvania. So there you go. The battery is working fine, so we might have takeoff.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a good evening to you. It is Talk, and it is Petrie, and we've got the latest coming in here. The issue that we were talking about, the battery issue on Artemis 2, if you've just joined me, the space launch tonight. It isn't a constraint right now, so they think it's fine for right now, but it will become one once they get to T-10, so 10 minutes, so literally up to the wire. We will not know if there's going to be a takeoff, and it's a 2-hour window. So I'm really hoping that it does take off during this programme, and you don't need to go anywhere else. I'm all over it. I'm all over it. Quite excited, as you might be able to tell. So the launch pad is being cleared, so the astronauts will be sitting there now, probably having a little chat. I don't know. What do you talk about when you're about to make history? What do you talk about when you're about to do something really dangerous? What do you chat about? What do you think? What do you think they're talking about? I'd love to be a fly on the wall there. We haven't seen any internal images yet. I'm hoping that we do fairly soon, and as soon as we do, we'll slap them up on the screen for those of you who are watching, and for those of you who are listening on the radio, I will do my very best to impart to you information for those of you, or for those of you sight impaired or whatever. I'll try and bring you along and hopefully be able to explain some stuff for you. But at midnight we will be talking about this. Hopefully it'll have taken off by then. Can you imagine? Anyway, what would you take to the moon? I was reading earlier on, I was looking at the astronauts and a bit of that about their backgrounds, and I'll go through that at the top of the hour. They're extraordinary human beings. I mean, they really are absolutely incredible human beings. I'll talk about that, but they're allowed to take some personal items with them. Small personal items, not like people or dogs, but they're allowed to take things with them. What would you take with you if you were going on a trip like this? What would be your personal item? I just got a message through about Artemis too, because I was asking about the rain. Apparently, if it's raining, it can't take off. And I was going, well, that, why is a bit of rain? You just go through the rain clouds, right? Grant has said rain would affect Artemis takeoff as the windscreen wipers wouldn't be able to cope. Can you imagine if they got windscreen wipers? They got a toilet. Yeah, they didn't have a toilet on the Apollo. No, they actually. I don't know how that works though. I'm thinking about zero gravity, and I'm wondering how a toilet works aboard a spaceship. Do you know what I'm going to do? As soon as I'm off the programme, I'm going to be looking that up. You know me. I'm going to be trying to find out how that works. But anyway, there is a toilet on board. That would be a deal. Maybe it's because they've got a woman on there. Because that would have been a deal breaker for me. I'm telling you, she's probably far more robust than me, but that would have been a deal breaker for me, I tell you that. So yeah, we're going to be talking and hopefully following the journey of the rocket as it takes off. Hopefully, fingers crossed, through the next couple of hours here on Talk. So you need not go anywhere else. So yeah, give me a call. Tell me how you feel about this. Are you excited about it? Do you think that it is a big deal? 0344 499 1000, and we do call you back, but the calls are charged at the national rate. And text the word talk and your message to 87222. And I really look forward to talking to you a little bit later on about this extraordinary moment in history. And this could lead to the whole point of this is to test these rockets to see when they start putting people on the moon, which they hope will be 2028, which I mean is around the corner, isn't it? It's tomorrow. So this is a big deal. And then, yay, we can start fighting wars about who owns the moon. Great, because that's what human beings will do, because we're revolting. Anyway, that's all coming up. So do get involved. Let me know what you think about all of this. Now, joining me at this moment is a woman I'd go to space with, but we'd have to have a special place for our wine. Claire Muldoon joins me now.
Do you know what? It's really strange, because when you posed that question, I automatically thought, I'd take you. And you know, perhaps, I know, it really would be. And I think perhaps because there is now a female astronaut, I think there's a name Koch or Koch or something.
Yeah.
The thing that she might have wanted to take to the moon, of course, is a toilet.
Yes.
And that's perhaps why it is there.
Perhaps it is. I mean, I just discovered that. I was reading through some of my notes, and I was like, they literally say this is the first time they've put a toilet on board, and I know I'm slightly obsessed by it. But I remember
I can tell.
I remember flying in a C-130, which is the big military planes, and I was flying across Africa to get to the. It was about the famine, so I was flying right all the way across from the coast to the border, nearly the borders of Ethiopia. So it was a long flight. And I was the only woman there, and I was going into a refugee camp and doing some filming there, and I was told as I got on that there is a toilet aboard the C-130, but it is a funnel. It's literally a funnel attached to the side of the aircraft, where, I mean, I'm quite short, Claire Muldoon, at 5'2". There's no way I could have, and it's open to the entire aircraft, because they're designed for men. So the men would just walk up, unzip, stick things into the funnel and do their business, and out it would go. For me, I became really quite ill because I wouldn't drink water.
That's not unlike ScotRail if you take a train in Scotland.
Actually, you're not wrong there either. But yeah, I mean, a toilet. When I saw that I was flying for 8-9 hours without a toilet, I was like, I'm not drinking any water. And it was so hot in there as well.
Of course, it would be very humid as well.
Anyway, it's just one of those things that as a woman, I'd go, yeah, no, put a toilet on board, and then I might think about it. So this is exciting, though, isn't it? Are you sort of into this or not really?
Well, no, not really, actually. I think because the last time Buzz Aldrin, etc., went, to orbit the moon, I was like nearly coming up for a year. It was December 72, and I was born in Jan 72. So it's quite a while, and you have to wonder why they've waited so long to do it. And when your producer Gabriella, we met yesterday actually, coming off Peter Cardwell's show, and she said, "Oh yes, Artemis is on tomorrow." I went, to be honest with you, I had no clue.
Oh wow!
I had no clue that this was actually going to happen, and I'm surprised. Well, am I really, given the absolute abhorrence that's going on in the papers and the world at the moment? This is actually quite a good news story.
Absolutely.
Because if we look past what's actually happening to these 4 individual astronauts that have taken this huge mission on board, the amount of money to the state of Florida, I was reading somewhere it was $121 million or something.
Oh yeah, it's huge because of all the people that go to Cape Canaveral, and they pay for tickets.
Huge.
Yeah, it's massive. It's a really, really big deal. But it's also
a big money spender.
I think that's why I'm excited about it, Claire, is because for so long now, just concentrating on the war and the effects of the war and all of that. And it just makes me think this is what human beings were meant to do. We're meant to be exploring. We're meant to be doing good things. We're meant to be doing, exciting things that push the boundaries of our abilities, but not killing each other in the Middle East.
Yeah, no, I get all of that. But I do think that if we were meant to go into space, we might have a rocket up our bums and be born with it. But we're not. So there's nothing natural about putting people in a rocket and
there's nothing natural about putting people in a car or in
there's not, or
on a train,
or a bog standard airplane. Of course, there's not,
or having a mobile phone.
But when we see this, and I think it's a really good time for it to actually happen because of the amount of social media, because of the ability for us to see in real time what they're doing, as opposed to waiting for old satellites to kind of like crank up and send images. Now it's instant, and I think perhaps maybe safety might be reinforced now because of that. There's a multitude of reasons why. Obviously, they've waited over 50 years to do this again. But it is also really rather exciting.
It is exciting, and of course it's follow the money. It's all about money. Because the Earth, the Moon was a chip off the old block. Basically, it's a chip off Earth. So it's a big lump of Earth that ended up being the Moon. So all the minerals and all the exciting things that we need now, they believe are in abundance on the Moon. So even things like helium and stuff like that. So all of these really important things that are on the Moon. But I can't help thinking, as I said when I opened this hour, that of course that just gives us an excuse to fight about something else because we're so pathetically backward and prehistoric.
Right,
I mean, it's just who owns the Moon.
Where are the Chinese? Where are the Russians? They'll be jealous. They'll be,
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, it is what it is, and I'm surprised Trump's not there to actually launch it.
I'm surprised he's not claiming.
He's not in it.
He's not in it. I wish. Somebody's just said I'd take Trump. And another person said I'd take Starmer, but he'd only have a one-way ticket. That's from Anthony.
I thought actually when Gabriella was mentioning this, I thought, it must be an Elon Musk thing. But it's not. It's
no, this is NASA. This is actually being paid for by America. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is that up until recently, of course, the only people with any money have been the private companies. And that's why you're seeing the sort of growth of the and thank goodness for them in a sense because they are pushing that technology forward. No, but this is NASA backed and paid for, and I guess because NASA wants to be, America wants to be the first to put boots on the ground on the again on the moon, rather than a private company.
I wonder if we can look too much. I hope we don't, into the actual date of doing it, April the 1st, coming up to the end of the financial trade year, start of Easter celebrations, etc., etc. So that there's a lot to unpack here. And as well, I mean, I see now in your clock it is T-10.
It's T-10.
The clock seems to have stopped, no? Or is it moving down? I don't know.
No, it has. Anyway. It looks like it stopped. But it's T-10, and I've just been told that the battery issue will not affect the launch.
Well, that's good, because I laughed when you said that the battery comes on in your car, saying your tyres need changing, and it's wrong. Oh dear. And your previous guest, Dr. David Horn, was saying that it's now you said it's a 90% chance of takeoff.
Yes, gone up from 80%.
These astronauts have had to have gone into quarantine for quite a while. Is it 3 days beforehand or something?
Yeah, they have.
Or it might have been less than that.
I think they had dinner with their families on Monday evening, but certainly since then. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, can you imagine, like I said, what are they talking about? What do you talk about when you're about to take off? But apparently the clock, say again, Sam, say again about the clock, that they stopped it at 10. All right, so they've stopped it before 6 minutes. They're allowed to stop it before 6 minutes, T-6, and then they'll start it again when they know what time they're going to take off.
You wonder what they're... I mean, I'm surprised they just can't stick to a time and do it. You know, I'm surprised they have to wait for certain things. The weather ain't going to change. The wind's not going to change.
Other rockets around, I don't know.
What?
I don't know. I mean, maybe there's just all the final checks, the nervousness, just making sure. They've got a window of 2 hours in which time they have to launch. Again, I'm not entirely scientifically sure why that is, but they've got that 2 hour window, so that the astronauts could be sitting there for 2 hours.
Do they do a trial run? Or is this the first time ever something like this?
No, they sent up Artemis 1. Artemis 1 went up, but it was unmanned. But but the capsule did re-enter. So the whole thing happened, but without human beings on board. So they have done it once before on Artemis 1. So this is the first time that they've been able to send people.
Do you think they're sitting back watching the film Apollo 13?
Can you imagine?
I hope not.
The worst thing to watch. I'm getting off. Let me off.
Change my mind.
Yeah, just these.
Computer says no.
These extraordinary human beings. I mean, the calm and the. I mean, they must be feeling everything that you would imagine that they'd be feeling, right? They're human beings.
The adrenaline must be.
But the adrenaline, absolutely, the adrenaline. Maybe that toilet's been used already. I mean, who knows?
Well, I think it's day 6, the one that we're going to see a lot of things out of the 10-day mission.
That's right, because to begin with, they're going to be going around the back of the moon, which we never see, the dark side of the moon, and they'll be out of range, out of contact for about 40 minutes, I think. But yeah, I think it's when they start coming back that we will get to see more of what's going on.
They'll really need to play that Pink Floyd song then, won't they?
Yeah,
the Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah. I mean, I hope they've got music up there. I hope they've got... nobody decided to take music up with them. Really?
Yeah.
Do you have a list of what they've taken?
Yeah, I do.
That's quite exciting.
Yeah,
what have they gone for?
They've gone for...
Desert Island Discs.
Yeah, I know. One of them went for a notepad to write notes of the trip. Well, we'll be filmed, won't it? You don't need a notepad.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Another one has taken up some... Oh, this is quite cute. Some necklaces that they obviously bought for the wife and 2 daughters that say "I love you to the moon and back."
Moon and back.
Moon and back.
It's a bit literal, yeah.
And yeah, literal, because when they're wearing them, it will have been to the moon and back. So that I thought that was really cute, actually. One of them's taken a Bible and some and some quotes from an earlier astronaut.
Don't do this again, or see on the other side.
And another, the final one has taken the Christina. Is it Christina Koch? Who's taken notes from her family. So that she's taken those up to read when she's up there.
Amazing.
It is extraordinary. But I just wonder what everybody else would take up with them, what they could take up with them.
Apart from Starmer and Trump, what's everyone saying?
Yes, yeah. Christina Koch is her name. I was right about that, thank goodness. So, yeah, I mean, they've taken up the bits and pieces, but I wonder if anybody's got any more thoughts on what they would take, apart from Starmer and open the window.
And us.
Yeah, and us. We would be great. They need to take us up there. We'd be fabulous. Claire, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back in just a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk, and it is Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock, and with me is the fabulous Claire Muldoon. Feet firmly on the ground for now. Claire, looking at the papers, of course it's a bit late for the papers to be talking about the space rocket. And I'm sure they wouldn't want to risk saying anything that they couldn't cover off. So it'll be in the online, I imagine. But let's start with the Times. Starmer, is he beginning to show backbone? That's the question. Starmer cancels 1,000 training places to punish striking doctors, and he said he would.
And that's actually the reason, in part, as well, why the doctors are wanting to strike, because there aren't enough training places. And if you have an F4, a 4 years qualified doctor from med school, they are chasing these training places that are supposed to have been available to specialise, so therefore they can't finish their training, and they're being held back by their salary because they're not doing their training in order to get the specialisations that they get more money for, right? But the thing that's interesting about this for me is the fact that West Streeting's not anywhere near any of these headlines over the past 48 hours of this doctor strike, and surely as Secretary of State for Health you would have thought it's very much his bag, his red box even, and yet he's not saying anything about it. It's Starmer holding Cobra meetings with John Healey, going over to the Gulf, Rachel Reeves coming out now almost against Ed Miliband by saying she's in favour of drilling. And don't forget, Petrie, I don't know if you know this, but according to our wonderful treasurer, who obviously can count, but she's also a meteorologist now, because she's saying it won't get cold again until October. So why are we worrying really about the cost of fuel?
Oh, that's caring, isn't it? That's
isn't
really
it?
thoughtful.
Really caring.
And really caring about those people with disabilities or older people.
Yeah, I'm glad she's got some training in something then, if she thinks she's now a meteorologist. However, Starmer cancels 1,000 training places. I think this is slightly vindictive.
I agree.
whilst I, think obviously everyone's got a right to strike, but the doctors really at this time, come on.
I mean,
can we just not all pull together?
Yeah,
it's tough for everybody.
That's exactly the sense I get, and I do think the doctors have lost public support because they literally have had a 35% increase. So 35.2%, the final offer was a 35.2% better off than they were 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And they got a big fat pay, which, if you remember, right at the beginning of Labour, they settled all those, billions of pounds worth of pay rises for train drivers and for doctors. And of course, what it's doing is just sort of saying, well, the nurses are going, well, hang on a minute, we've had 5%, or
it's not going to stop. It's going to be
never going to stop. Yeah,
the ambulance drivers, the paramedics,
because the disparity is just going to get bigger and bigger, and the doctors are going to be earning all that, and it's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair, and there'll be a sense of injustice. There'll be a sense of, why am I bothering? What do I do? It's just, it will go on and on and on, and it needs to be nipped in the bud.
Yeah, and in regards to Starmer doing this, look, at least, I rather flippantly said, is he showing some backbone? But look, at least and I think that's why it's coming from him and not Wes Streeting, because he wants to be seen as a man. Yeah, I think he wants to be. He wants to make these announcements to make him look strong. Given what's going to happen to him in May. Oh, just got to say, the clock has officially started again.
Started again?
Yes. 10 minutes out. NASA has officially approved the launch. Is that to launch now? Oh, so it's, oh my God. It is literally 9 minutes and 42, 41, 40, 39 seconds to launch. So we're not going to have to wait very long. That's exciting. We better not be in a break. We're going to have to take a break early to make sure we're not in a break when that happens. So there you go. It is now officially going to happen, which is exciting. Let's get back to the papers for now, though. Yep. Reform backs triple lock to win over older voters, having said that they would scrap it.
Yeah, I
know.
It's almost impossible to write copy for the Reform Party going forward. They seem to be, I think their favourite footwear are Havaianas, which of course are very, famous for flip-flops, because what they have done is they were the champions of scrapping the two-child benefit cap, which then Labour thought, oh, well, if that's what the populist votes are wanting, if that's what Reform are doing, then we need to do it, have done it. Reform then went back, oh no, if we actually were in charge, we wouldn't do it. Back to the triple lock. No, we can't afford it. The country can't afford it. That's life. So we're going to scrap it. And now they're saying, well, actually, no, we're going to continue.
Yeah, it's all very cynical, isn't it?
It's all very cynical. And it's just, as I said, it's very difficult to write copy about reform, because no one really knows what they're doing. No, nobody knows where. It's this flip-floppy, isn't it? Like you said, it's really, really, it is a flip-flop. Listen, I'm going to take... Which is a shame.
Yeah, well, it was always going to come down to their policies. That was the thing. They were riding high.
Which they never had a manifesto to remember.
Exactly. And so it's always going to come down to what they're actually going to do. I'm going to take the break here, Claire, just in case, because I don't want to miss the window. We'll be back in just a sec.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk, and it is Petrie here with you. And just looking at the images that I'm seeing of the live images. There you go, if you're watching. That's live images from Cape Canaveral in Florida. And all systems are go. They have removed the crew access arm, so they can't change their minds now. It's going to take off, and so we'll see the other arms being removed as well as we go through the next 7 or so minutes to the launch. Some superb pictures there. And you can see that first orange bulbous bit, that's where the astronauts are. Can you see the little window there? So that's where the astronauts are. That's how big it is. Like I said, the size of a camper van. So that top bit will I'm so technical, aren't I? The top bit will eventually come off, but then you'll have that, and then they'll open their solar, what are they called? The big, like wings, if you like, that will panels. They're panels, solar panels, that will then drive them towards the moon. So it's T-4 minutes now until a takeoff. So I'm going to keep an eye on that at the same time as chatting to Claire Muldoon, who is with me now. The Guardian, Claire, is the Trump absolutely considering taking us out of NATO alliance. He's never liked NATO, has he? He's always threatened it. No,
not at all. And because at the start of his time in office, for the second term, he always said that why should America bail out countries that are member states of NATO but not paying their way? And I think then we knew that he wasn't happy with the establishment, notwithstanding the fact that he has taken himself to be a massive ally of Israel in his attack of Iran. Israel still going on with their attack on Lebanon, amongst other places at the moment. This is not. Thankfully, it's managed to knock Scott Mills off the front pages. Yeah. So now it's Trump and NATO, and tomorrow hopefully will be online at least the successful launch of Artemis 2.
Hopefully.
There's so much that's going on in the world, as we've already alluded to. It's just such a shame that there's nothing of unity to come
That's
together.
What I'm saying. I mean, this is it. As human beings, we should have gone beyond this by now, really, as a species.
And the almost push for to reverse Brexit now from Starmer, saying, well, it's not our war, and aligning himself very much with Europe. Again, it's going to ostracise at least 1 in 2 voters in this country that voted for Brexit. And I just don't think you can get away with changing the political landscape as these two are at the moment, or would appear to be doing, without consultation with the electorate first on both sides. But I
don't think there's any chance of us rejoining the European Union in that sense. But I think a closer relationship with Europe, given where we are with America right now, is no bad thing. I'm just going to return, Claire, if I can, to what's happening. The down thrusters appear to be moving into position. They're taking out all the air at the moment.
Creating a vacuum.
Yes, that's right. And then they're going to go onto the battery power to start things off. It's T-minus 1 minute and 47 seconds.
How big is the pod that the astronauts are in?
It's about the size of a camper van. So if you imagine that, it's not very big at all. No, it's not very big at all. And there's 4 of them in there and a toilet. So right. so no privacy at all. They're very squished in there. We haven't had any images of the inside of the pod yet, but we're still waiting. I'm looking at the images here, waiting to see when they take the holding arms off the rocket.
And where are the holding arms?
One is just below the pod and above the fuel thrusters. So that's what I can see. There seems to be some, but they seem to be they're taking all the air out at the moment and adjusting the bottom thrusters that were pointing slightly up, and now they're completely pointing down. There's 50 seconds now to take off.
Yeah, 32 seconds.
50 seconds, 38. So let's do it at 30 seconds. Right. We'll switch over to audio and listen to somebody else do the countdown, because I think that's part of the excitement. Here we go.
Absolutely.
Here we go.
Sound suppression water is flowing.
15.
And here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7. RS-25 engines lit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis 2 now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Good roll pitch.
Roger, roll pitch.
Houston now controlling the flight of Integrity on the Artemis 2 mission around the moon.
Integrity, AMT high.
AMT high.
On time, passing 30 seconds into the flights. Integrity passes the alternate beacon. Target milestone. Mission Control Houston seeing good performance on the 4 main engines. Space Launch System core stage. Integrity, 3 miles in altitude. Traveling more than 1,200 miles per hour. Mission elapsed time, passing 1 minute, approaching max Q.
On, Ponce de Leon.
Stan, we have you loud and clear on Ponce de Leon.
Have you the same?
Communication signal transfer confirmed as Integrity and its crew go supersonic. Approaching 90 seconds into the Artemis 2 mission. Integrity is 14 miles in altitude, 8 miles downrange, traveling more than 2,600 miles per hour. Seconds of mission elapsed time, standing by for main engine throttle down to 85%, ahead of solid rocket booster separation expected at the 2-minute 9-second mark. We see throttle down.
Oh, good.
Confirmed separation. Main engines throttling up, guidance converged.
Integrity, guidance converged, performance nominal, upper stage RCS ready.
Copy all.
Integrity, SS complete.
SM Private complete.
2 minutes 45 seconds of mission elapsed time into the Artemis 2 mission. Thrusters on Integrity ahead of service module fairing separation. Minutes into the flight. Integrity, 49 miles in altitude, 78 miles downrange, now passing 5,000 miles per hour. Standing by for launch abort system jettison.
Houston Integrity, good last jettison, great view.
Copy jettison, Team Eco 8+02.
We see the same on board, Stan.
And Houston has you loud and clear on Tidris at the Carmen line.
Outstanding, Stan, we have you the same.
3 minutes 50 seconds into the flight of Artemis 2, Wiseman, Glover, Cook, and Hansen crossed the boundary to space with good comm checks. GPS signals acquired after last jettison now working checks to verify accuracy. Flight Dynamics Officer analyzed the time of main engine cutoff, confirmed at 8 minutes 2 seconds, time of MECO.
I mean, I am almost speechless. That brought me to tears. It literally, I know it sounds pathetic, but that really made me tear up. What an extraordinary historical moment, and just jettisoning. That's really, really dangerous part of the journey, is the takeoff and the re-entry. And there they go. They're into space now. It's T plus 4 minutes and 39 seconds since takeoff. And if you are able to see the images, because of course they've got cameras all over these rockets now, and just some of the images are absolutely breathtaking. This is what mankind should be doing. What are we doing? Faffing around with murdering each other and killing each other when we have the capacity, the brilliance to do something like this. It is absolutely breathtaking that as a species we are able to do this. And some of the cameras there showing just the curvature of the planet there as the rocket heads off towards the moon with those 4 extraordinary people on board. We were hearing the voices there from ground control. We haven't heard, although they said the comms are in good place, we haven't heard, I don't think, the voices yet of those astronauts on board Artemis 2 on this extraordinary mission, and breathtaking, absolutely breathtaking that we were able to be present for that, to see that. Actually, I certainly won't forget where I was when that happened. I can tell you that for nothing. Images now just showing a dot, which is the space rocket as it goes on its journey. It jettisoned those fuel tanks. Those fuel tanks can be reused. They'll be found once they were jettisoned. They're heading back to Earth on a planned trajectory, so they'll be coming down somewhere that they can get them, or they'll be grab them from up in space. Where's that image from? That's extraordinary. What is that I'm looking at? That isn't the rocket. That must be one of the fuel modules, is it? I can't imagine what. Oh, it's a digital recreation. I wondered why that didn't make any sense to me. Okay. So those fuel tanks, those massive fuel tanks holding all that liquid hydrogen, they will be collected and used again, reused. That's good, isn't it? It's green. I think that's about the only thing that's green about a space journey like this, but extraordinary. If you get a chance to see those images, and I'm sure they'll be playing all day tomorrow, but you got to see them here live on Talk if you were watching, and if you were listening, just listening to that voice that you expect to hear from ground control, sent shivers down my spine, and it really, I think the reason it made me tear up is because this is what mankind is about. This is what we should be as a species, not bitching and fighting and killing each other on Earth. That we're better than that, and this proves we're better than that. And I just wish we could follow through and actually be better than that as a species, because this is absolutely breathtaking. It really, really is. I'm going to take a break here, but we will be back, and we'll continue to show images and bring you up to date with how it's gone. But what an extraordinary moment that was for mankind. It really was breathtaking.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk, and if you're joining us now, or the Artemis 2 has had a completely successful launch on this historic journey that they're taking. Apparently we have heard a word from the commander, I think it's Reed Wiseman, that he is the commander, saying that he can see the moon and he's on his way. So there's definitely comms, everything is absolutely perfect. And if you're listening to this later on this morning between 5 and 6, this is just a reminder that, of course, we are going through the papers. It's an unusual paper review, of course, because of this moment in history. But it took off. What time did it take off? Exact 35. So 11:35. If you're listening to this at 5 o'clock in the morning, or 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, Artemis 2 is firmly on its way. Claire Muldoon is still with me. Honestly, that really affected me. I was quite emotional about that. Not for you.
I heard.
Not for you.
I was excited by it, and just like you said when I was listening to it, the chap from ground control, what a steadying hand
incredible
he had on all of this.
Incredible,
and that is
calm
exactly
voice.
what you want to hear.
Yeah.
But there was excitement in his voice as well. It was bordering on pride. You know, he had everything off. He was ticking his boxes. Yes, T minus whatever.
Yeah, it's all going.
Everything was all there.
Can you imagine all the work that they've put into that? How many years? And everything comes down to this 4 minutes. Everything you've worked for comes down. Yeah. And it all worked. It all worked smoothly.
That was really lovely to witness that, actually.
It's an extraordinary thing. Yeah, and I think that's why I got emotional, is because it's so upsetting to me that we're still on Earth behaving the way that we are, and we could be so great as a species. We could be so amazing. And I think that's what really made me emotional about that. But it wasn't an extraordinary journey.
Things like this actually might just start to turn now, turn society, turn people, turn humanity, when they witness things like this.
How good
when
we
they
could be. Yeah.
The greatness of minds, of technicalities, and basic, humanity to go in intelligence, to take this to another level.
Yeah.
And, when the chap from ground control was saying that's them flying at supersonic speed now, and they're heading straight there, and it was really, quite awe-inspiring.
Yeah, it is awe-inspiring. And I do hope as well that there is a sense here that the younger generation, will get some excitement out of this and start thinking about the future and how good it could be, and science, and just re-engage people into how incredible a species by now we should be and could be.
And no one can launch a rocket like that by, watching things on YouTube or anything.
No.
This is people having to use their hands.
Yeah.
So hopefully now kids will be able to, build out of blue rolls like they used to.
Yeah.
Build rockets with, papier-mâché tissue paper, and build and use that engineering capacity
and
that
creativity.
we were once a famous nation for.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, when you put all the absolute nonsense that goes on Earth to one side, and if that were possible to do, and it should be by now, we should have learnt by now.
It should be.
The abilities of mankind are beyond the stars, right? I mean, they're extraordinary because of the creativity and the creative minds, and the encouragement to do something out of this world, quite literally. You think how far we could have been by now if there weren't all the wars and all the fighting and all the hatred. It's extraordinary. Let's have a quick look at some of the other papers. The Daily Mail, Trump goes to war on NATO. We've covered that off. And then a picture of Andrew, Mountbatten, Windsor, a portrait of a broken man, as the police are working with the CPS now to see what the level of evidence that they would need, presumably, to prosecute. So that's
and I hope that the threshold will be met. And I hope, the threshold, I hope they'll use that, actually.
Yeah, well, he's an ordinary citizen, so he's subject to the same laws as you and I would be.
Mm-hmm.
The Independent shows a picture of Trump and Melania at the opening night of the musical Chicago in Washington, D.C. I don't know if you heard any audio from there, but he was booed. Really quite severely booed, but there he is with his wife Melania, looking stunning as ever. Underneath, Trump says, "I'll bomb Iran back to the Stone Age, and I may quit NATO." This is his wildest pronouncements yet. He seems to be spiralling.
And that's saying something.
Yeah, he seems to be spiralling. I think that we heard at the weekend that he was bored of this. He's bored of it and he wants to move on. That was coming out of Washington because he doesn't have a massive attention span, as we know. But he knows he's got the midterms coming up. So, if they take place. This is a great headline from the Metro. Star-Spangled Spanner.
I thought that too.
In the
works. Indeed.
It's very clever, isn't it?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
More chaos as US President puts NATO in peril. Star-Spangled Spanner in the works.
Yeah, very, very good. We like that a lot.
We like that.
Yeah, he's not going to leave NATO. He can't leave NATO. He won't be able to. But anyway, good heaven, who said this?
What?
Reform's new housing chief.
Oh, yeah.
Is this for real? The iPaper this is. Yeah. Reform's new housing chief said...
Let me get it up.
Grenfell was tragic.
Yeah.
But everyone dies in the end.
Yeah.
What kind of monster says that?
We don't have access to page 4, so we can't quote who said it. And I don't know who the housing chief is. But it's a pretty grim quote.
What a heartless,
for something
awful
that, defined an area of West London and will continue
just down the road from us, literally.
Yeah.
He said fires
do happen.
Yeah, go on, you read the quote.
We're not making cars illegal, so why stop houses being built? He argues that safety regulations should be eased to allow construction of homes. Yes, tick. Fires do happen, tick. We're not making cars illegal, tick. So why stop houses being built? We're not. Grenfell has got nothing to do with the need for houses to be built in this country. It's got absolutely nothing to do with that. There is no builder or no architect or no company that are saying we can't build because of Grenfell.
No, his name is Simon Dudley. Reform UK's Simon Dudley suggested post-Grenfell safety rules have gone too far. I mean, that fire, I drove past that. I was going into work at the BBC on the morning of that fire. And I remember getting into my car and saying to the driver, well, apparently there's a fire. I wonder if we'll see it from the A40.
Mm-hmm. And of course you would have.
And I literally, and I couldn't believe, I cannot believe that anybody survived that. And I am still shocked that the death numbers were only in the 70s. Because that was the most extraordinary sight I've ever seen. And when you're in a war and you see buildings on fire, I think that's fine. But when you're driving through West London, to see that, it was the whole thing from the middle all the way up to the top was blazing. It was early hours of the morning, so it was about 1-2 o'clock in the morning as I went in, and all of that programme, people were phoning in from the site of Grenfell. So anybody to say, well, people die anyway. I mean, that is and we know that somebody is to blame for that. We know that it was.
Well, it's corporate manslaughter.
It is. Petrie, it is. But nobody's going to take responsibility for it, are they?
No, because Kingspan can't. Then the builders can't, and then the property developer won't either. No, it's a whole spiral of a cause and effect.
Cutting corners, being cheap, doing things they shouldn't have done, putting up substandard stuff. That's why those people died. It had nothing to do with safety issues.
It was all legal at the time.
I mean, for somebody to say that, what an absolute piece of dirt. Right, Europe fears that Putin will start a new war after Trump's threat to quit NATO.
To quit NATO.
Yeah, they're worried he'll try to go into Norway, I think.
I don't think he will.
Well, NATO has said if he goes 1 inch, then we'd respond. But of course, Trump and Putin have got this weird relationship. So, you know, and Putin has been in Trump's ear saying, you know, you don't want NATO, they're rubbish. And of course he has, because he wants them destroyed. He wants NATO destroyed, and Trump's playing right into his hands. The Sun newspaper, gone with a big story. Stacey and Joe's sham wedding. What? They never made it legal. Who cares?
They got married in the house or something like that, but they haven't extended it to the legal aspect of posing the forthcoming nuptials to the banns of marriage. That's what it's called. So
right, yeah.
The Sun is saying that they didn't actually give out the banns of marriage.
They're lovely. I know Joe. I don't know if you've met him. He's such a sweetheart.
I've met Stacey.
I've not met Stacey, but I've met Joe. He is such an adorable boy. Not man. He's adorable. He's so sweet. He's so sweet, honestly. But I'm just happy for them if they're happy. Who cares? You know?
I know.
That's weird.
I know.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Rachel Reeves has backed drilling in the North Sea in a move that opens up a rift with Ed Miliband.
Ed Miliband, yeah. Ed with a band.
Yeah.
Or without a band. Ed Rubber Band.
Yeah.
What I wonder if the odds, because I've heard this for and I know a few people that have put some bets on that he's going to be the next PM.
No way.
Yes, I've heard that.
No way. It cannot happen. I mean, honestly, the only image I have of Ed Miliband is him eating a sandwich. Yeah, a sandwich, bacon sandwich, wasn't it? And having 2 kitchens. And that's all I remember about it.
I thought that was David Cameron.
Oh no, that was Cameron.
Yeah,
but I remember the sandwich eating. No, that can't happen. I don't think he'd get the backing of the party.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think so.
You know.
Well, we'll take a bet now.
Oh, I'm not a betting woman. I don't bet.
It was Miliband.
Let's not waste.
It was Miliband with two. It was Miliband with 2 kitchens.
Was it?
Yeah.
Where did he have that?
2015. It was. At number 10.
He wasn't PM.
In his North London home. That's right. He had 2 kitchens.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was saying that he was using the smaller kitchen, or he didn't say that, but it was the servants' kitchen. I don't know. But anyway, it was. No. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Do you know what? So, going to the Express front page, fuel shortages threaten holidays abroad, and yet there's been more. Jet2 or EasyJet have said that they're going to have their busiest Easter ever, with people and families going away. Is that because a lot of the UEA flights have been cancelled, and therefore they've now just taken a package with EasyJet?
Yes,
and now we've got.
It seems so. It seems so. But I was talking to Simon Calder yesterday, who said that they're not. They're not running out of. They won't run out of fuel for a few months. That actually is fine for now. But you will start to see prices going up quite substantially. Claire, that's it. We've run out of time.
We've launched. And
we've launched. We have launched, Claire. And it's not before time. But thank you very much indeed. You take care. Lots of love to you. Claire Muldoon there, broadcaster, going through what we could of the papers. And like I said, if you're listening at 5 a.m, of course, it was very special because of the launch of Artemis 2. We're going to be discussing that in just a moment.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there. Sorry, I'm just looking at images now. I think from inside the pod of the astronaut. They are squeezed in there. Goodness me. We might try and get some of those pictures for you a little bit later on, but we're playing catch up with trying to get all these images for you. But an extraordinary launch of Artemis 2 that took off at 11:35. I mean, it really was an astonishing moment to witness. And Ernie has sent me this lovely message. He said, "Hi Petrie, I'm so glad this launch happened when you were on air, because I know from watching your shows how much you love science and technology. Great to see a successful launch. You can't buy it." And that's from Ernie. Yeah, thank you, Ernie, that you get me, that it's genuine that I teared up with that. It's just breathtaking. The extraordinary things that we can do when we put our minds and our hearts to it. The fuel pods jettisoned off. They splashed down successfully into the ocean. As I said, they would be planned to have that trajectory so they wouldn't hit ground, but they've splashed out into water. So they'll be being collected at some point and reused. So that's good. Other parts of the rocket, of course, won't be able to be used, a part reused, but the piece that does come back in, of course, is the pod that is housing the 4 astronauts that are there. The astronauts are the commander, Reed Wiseman. He's up there at the moment doing his bits. The mission specialist is Christina Koch. She's the first woman to make this sort of journey. Jeremy Hansen is a former Royal Canadian Air Force fighter pilot and physicist who joined the Canadian Space Agency in 2009. So it's the first time that a Canadian, it's the first time he's flown in space as well, and it's the first time that a Canadian will have gone as far as they are going. And of course, he enjoys rock climbing and mountain biking. Of course he does. So he's there. And Victor J. Glover, who is the pilot. Victor Glover is a former US Navy fighter pilot and test pilot who was selected as a NASA astronaut in 2013. His nickname, his call sign, is Ike. I-K-E, reputedly short for I Know Everything. And that's a nod to his 3 master's degrees in flight test engineering, systems engineering, and military operational art and science. And I have to say that all of these astronauts looked like they were taken from central casting. I mean, the extremely handsome, chiseled men, not that this matters, but that's my observation. And Victor Glover apparently is a bit of a modern astronaut, and he is always very smartly turned out. Apparently, he's very, very concerned about the way he looks, and why wouldn't he be? So these brilliant minds, these 4 people now on their journey, and they must have been concerned, because up until the launch, of course, we were wondering if it was going to take off at some points, because there was an issue with a battery or with a sensor to that battery. So that could have potentially scuppered the entire launch. So, and they had a 2-hour window. So we were very lucky, actually, that it took off when it did. And that's why when they said it was T-10, I was like, well, literally now it's going to take off now, because I thought they'd delay it, but no. This rocket did take off in an incredible launch, a hugely successful launch, and now these 4, like I said, extraordinary human beings. I mean, their CVs are absolutely mind-blowing, they each. Christina Koch is an engineer and physicist who became an astronaut in 2013, and went on to set the record for the longest single space flight by a woman, spending 328 days aboard the International Space Station in 2019. During that mission, she also took part in the first all-female spacewalk. So, I mean, one hell of a woman, right? She was born in Michigan, and raised in North Carolina. She'll become the first woman to travel to the moon. And her journey to Artemis 2 began with a photograph. As a child, she kept a poster of the Earth rising above the lunar surface, a picture from Apollo 8 on her bedroom wall, and decided she wanted to become an astronaut when she learnt that a human, not an automatic camera, had squeezed the shutter. So that started, Apollo 8 started her off on her journey, and here's the hope that Artemis 2 starts other young people off on their journey. A little bit more about Reed Wiseman, who's the commander of the flight. He is a US Navy test pilot turned astronaut who spent 6 months on the International Space Station in 2014 as a flight engineer on Expedition 40. He is the only, no, he's the only American man on board, I think. No, he's not. There's 2 American guys, 1 American woman and the Canadian. But again, he looks like he's an actor. I mean, they all look like, I don't know, how do they even look like that? I mean, anyway, they do. Extraordinary people on an extraordinary mission. But if you missed it, I do want to replay just a bit of the launch for you. So watch back the moment. This is from countdown. This is from 10. T minus 10 seconds, and then the takeoff. Enjoy.
10, 9, 8, 7, RS-25 engines lit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis 2 now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Good roll pitch.
Roger, roll pitch.
Houston now controlling the flight of Integrity on the Artemis 2 mission around the moon.
Integrity, AMT high.
AMT high.
On time, passing 30 seconds onto the flights. Integrity passes the ultimate beacon. Target milestone. Mission Control Houston seeing good performance on 4 main engines. Space Launch System core stage. Integrity, 3 miles in altitude. Traveling more than 1,200 miles per hour.
So there we go. We paused it there just before they go into the outer atmosphere and jettison the fuel tanks. But I mean, I've just tried to imagine. I always the reason I think I'm quite an empathetic creature is I always try to imagine what it must be like to be them, right? And that's what we all should do with each other, frankly. But if you imagine being in that control room on the ground, watching that happen when you've put in all that work and all that, you know, and the adrenaline and yet those calm voices talking the crew through the launch process and what's happening. But you imagine how nervous they must have been. And it's interesting because we haven't seen images yet, I don't think, of the moment. There's always that image, isn't there, of when the rocket takes off and you see the control room when they know they've had a successful launch. And so I'm hoping, I know that they would have done that. They would definitely have filmed that. So wait and see because just that release of tension, that extraordinary, we did it. We did it with the launches done. I mean, now they've got to concentrate on the rest of it. They've got to monitor the pilots, they've got the crew, they've got to, you know, do all of those things to keep everything going for the next 10 days. So the journey isn't over for them, obviously, but just that release of tension must have been extraordinary. And as for the crew, you know, that is a dangerous point. We've seen rockets explode at that point. We've seen disastrous things happen at launch. So their nerves and their moment must have been extraordinary as well. And then to get to the peace and quiet of space, knowing that they're on their way to the moon. I mean, wow. Oh, wow. I know I'm a bit dramatic about this, but if you put yourself in their shoes just for a second, it must be just, you know, all of that noise, all of that shuddering, and then peace and quiet when they're up in space. Absolutely extraordinary. Anyway, I've got a lovely picture here as well from Jules. I said, I thought you might like to see one of our cats, Luna, intently watching the blast off. So there is Luna the cat there watching the lunar travel, which is lovely. And Luna is also the name of my producer's cat. And it's her birthday today. It's the cat, not the producer. So hopefully Luna... Did you leave the telly on for her? Yeah, she didn't. I leave the telly on for my boys, but she didn't leave the telly on for her cat. Anyway, let's get to your calls. I want to know what you would take up to the moon, because each of these had... they were allowed to take one personal a personal item each, and I'll tell you what they took up at just a moment. But I want to know, what would you take if you were on this journey? What would you take to the moon? So let's get to the calls now. And Carol is in Manchester. Hello, Carol.
Oh, hello. It's probably one of the best shows that I've been with you. Honest to God, I'm in tears. Absolutely in tears.
Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
I knew I had to be with you. I chose every channel or whatever, and I thought, I've got to be with you. But I didn't know you knew so much. You know, with the grace of God, right, honestly, I'm absolutely, honest to God, I've loved it.
I'm so glad, because I'm so excited about it.
I've recorded everything from, the minute coming up. Love the conversation afterwards, what you spoke about. And the reason why I'm saying about this is because I'm going to take it to my grandchildren on Easter Sunday with my family. No, honestly, with it. And it's just, there's so much serious, me and you have talked serious stuff, everything. And, honest to God, I'm enjoying I've even opened my bottle of red wine, that should have on Sunday.
Oh, good for you. I wish I could have done that.
Oh, honestly, well, you can have it after 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I can.
But I'll tell you something. Honest to God, my sweetheart, you've done an absolutely amazing show. Because of me as a little girl, I watched, and do you know what you just put there, and it's put me in tears, 10, 9, 8, 7. We all say it as children now. It's been, it's been, or even, we take it for granted, with it. And to watch it tonight took me way, way back. And I've got to say, as a child, I watched it, Man on the Moon and whatever and all that lot. I've got to be honest, that's why I want to watch this. I want some proof with it. It's because I don't believe man went on the moon. Forget about that. That's how it goes or whatever. And even my children say, why or whatever. It's because I've watched documentaries or, I'm a bit older or whatever. I need some more proof. And 50 years, why we not progressed or whatever, but me and my children, I always say to my children and my grandchildren, I love you more, I love you to the moon and back, they have that old saying or whatever. So that's why I'm going to put tonight, what I've recorded with yourself and whatever, and I'll be doing that on Sunday. So
I'm so pleased.
Yeah,
well, I'm just so excited about it. I just loved it. It is a momentous occasion.
Honestly, I'm sat here and I'm loving tonight. And it's so nice. The world is ending. It's
it's a mess.
I don't know how to. Yeah. I feel as if something's made me so happy about something like that. Because it's something new. Why the hell? The earth, we've got this beautiful earth. We need to start loving it. Loving each other, loving everything.
I mean, like I said, Carol, it is. If it wasn't for all the hatred and the wars, just imagine how far we could have come as a species. I mean, it's just what we could have achieved.
Tonight.
Yeah.
It's took me back tonight, with it. I mean, a rock, and like you say, those people that are in there, I've seen it when it blows up. Maybe some, generations haven't or whatever. And it's really a dangerous thing.
It really is, but brave, extraordinary human beings.
In space.
Yeah.
I'm just that iffy about that, that moon. We won't go into that because I'm not spoiling anything. But Honest to God, it is. And it does. Something like that just makes you think, for God's sake, come on, let's get ourselves together.
Yeah, I agree. And then, the worst thing is, of course, we'll all be fighting on the moon soon as to who owns what on the moon.
Well,
I mean...
Do you know what I'd put? I'd put some flowers, some daffodils, some what you call it.
Is that what you take up with you as your personal item? What would you take up with you?
Oh, my personal item with it is, Jeannie, where's... I think, if anything, at the end of the day, if I put a personal item, I'd take the album. I still do pictures and everything. I take the album of my family.
Oh, that's nice.
That's what my personal thing is.
Yeah.
And I put it up there, and everything, because it's just growing from a child to adult.
That is a lovely thing to take up, actually.
I would do that. I would just do that. And I just hope that if anybody found it up there, is like, when they do see it, they won't be too harsh on us.
Oh, how could they be? Carol, do you know what? It's made my day. I'm so glad that you've been on board, literally, and enjoyed it.
Thank you. You've done an absolutely.
Oh.
And I'm honestly, I'm not what you call it, because me and you, we can have our what you call it. But I'll tell you something. I'm so glad that I went with you. With it. And honest to God, I can't wait to show my, for my...
Oh, well, let me know how your grandchildren enjoy. I hope they do enjoy it, because it really is exciting.
We love the moon, and we do. And when you see it, sometimes it's a lot bigger. It can be a lot smaller.
Yeah.
But I always say to my children, my grandkids, when my kids, it'll get bigger, right? If you're more kinder to it, you've got to be more kinder to everybody else, including your mother.
Oh, that's a good one. I wish I'd thought of that when my son was little. It's wonderful to talk to you, Carol. Thank you very much indeed for the compliment. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I've got to take a quick break, but we're back in a moment.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a good morning to you. This is Talk, and it is Petrie. Just some update on the Artemis 2. It has successfully manoeuvred now to get the orientation of the ship correct. So they have to be pointing at the moon. I mean, I'm literally no scientist, but I'm just saying, so they're getting the orientation correct. In approximately 4 minutes, 3.5 minutes, they will begin their final manoeuvre that should put them into orbit, because they're travelling around the Earth at the moment. So they're just trying to get themselves in the right direction, and then they'll head off towards the moon. Can you imagine? So that's the very latest. So I'm asking. Oh, it's another Luna. It's a very common cat name, isn't it? No cat's called Humphrey. This is from Gary. Gary said, talking about cats, here's my wee Luna. Very beautiful. Isn't she pretty? But did she watch the rocket launch? Or at least listen to the radio? I don't know. Anthony has said, I didn't think I would have got so involved in the blast-off, Petrie, but it fetched a tear to my eye. And your speech about humanity, wars and the type of humans we could be was a credit to you as the lovely lady you are. Oh, thank you. Well, it's heartfelt. As you know with me, I don't fake anything. I will not fake anything with you guys. It's just not worth it. I'm not going to do it. Right, let's go back to your calls now. Keep the messages coming in as well, though. I love them. And let's go to Janice, who's in Essex. Hello, Janice. How are you?
Hiya, Petrie. Lovely to talk to you. Been a little while.
It has been a while. Are you all right?
Brilliant. Yeah, no, I'm fine. I changed my mind. I would like to take some cabinet ministers up, but they've got to be in a separate show and we can clear them off. I've decided what I would like to take up with me is all my animals. I'll take my eagle owl, my cockatiels, my ducks, my pigeons, my dogs and my cats. And I like them to look at the moon and see what a beautiful planet they lived on.
Yeah.
And by the way, we did go to the moon. I watched it 50 years ago. I'm in awe of this. I held my breath.
It's beautiful. It's an astonishing thing, isn't it?
Held my breath.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only problem is what we've done, what America's done, I keep calling us we, China and Russia are now going to have a run to go and get to the poles. Now, America's got to beat them to it. So, this is brilliant for a lot of young people.
Yeah, I agree.
My age, we've seen it. All the young people, this is a first for them because a lot of them don't even believe that we got on the moon. Well, we did, but if it weren't for Elon Musk and Bezos, we wouldn't have done this. I keep calling us we, like we're an American. I'm an American. But I do think it's all the West. This comes in.
Yeah, I mean, you can't understate what the private rocket companies have done for advancement, because they were able to put the money in, and NASA, of course, has funded this. But you know, it's still. You know, the private companies that you're talking about have really advanced technology, and they've really pushed the boat out. So we are grateful to them.
We are doing that. I only wish the web camera was there to watch it take off.
Who was here?
The web telescope, the camera.
Oh yeah,
telescope. Can you imagine if that was taking pictures of it?
I mean, it's just I'm waiting to see what technology we have got and what we see, because NASA has now stopped its live broadcasting, because as far as it's concerned, of course, the launch was hugely successful. So NASA has ended its live broadcasting, but we will start to get feeds, I would imagine, from inside the module, and hear the astronauts, those four extraordinary people who.
Well, it is amazing. It's deep space. We've never gone into deep space.
It's absolutely incredible. The first woman to have gone into deep space, the first Canadian, the first man of colour. You know, I mean, it is. Brilliant. There's a lot of firsts in there, and I'm
excited as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I just think it is amazing. I'm just so glad it happened during my programme. I'd have been heartbroken if I wasn't able to share that.
One more thing, please, Petrie.
Yeah, go on.
I think your son will be around when people go to Mars. I won't. Your son will be.
Yeah.
He'll be around when they put people on Mars. I'm saying I'm not going to see that, but I don't like the way the country's going, so I'd rather trot off. But I think this is completely amazing. I think it's lightened everybody up. I think it's a blooming good thing that we can talk about and think about something else other than all our troubles.
Yeah, something really.
You've done a brilliant programme.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Honestly, I appreciate that so much. Certainly don't hear it from the bosses, but thank you. Anyway, but I appreciate it from you more, actually, because you are my audience and I love you. Gary and Polly say, we were at NASA in Houston in November and we were able to talk to one of the astronauts about this mission. I'm so jealous. Amazing to see it finally take off. We loved visiting NASA. My item to take to the moon would be my SLR camera with lots of batteries. That's a good item as well, isn't it? So what would you take to the moon? What would you take with you if you were on this journey? Let me tell you what Reed Wiseman took with him. Reed Wiseman is the commander, the US Navy test pilot turned astronaut. So what did he take with him? He's got a really interesting story, actually. He's a single parent after his wife died of cancer in 2020. And so, I mean, that as a single parent going into space, I mean, that is a risk, right? I mean, my son would not clear me for mission. He would not let me go. He said he's not shielded his children from the realities of the risk. While out on a walk with them, he said, here's where my will is, here's where the trust documents are, and if anything happens to me, here's what's going to happen to you. That's part of this life. Wow. He says he wishes more families had that big conversation. For the personal item that NASA allows astronauts to take up with them, Wiseman plans to take a small notepad so that he can jot down his thoughts during the mission. He's a man of business, isn't he? You can tell. He's a man of... that's him. He's got to go and take notes. So there you go. Christina Koch is an engineer and physicist. She's the first woman to have gone into deep space. First woman to travel to the moon. Her journey, like I said, began because she had a poster of a picture of Apollo 8. And she is taking handwritten notes from people close to her for her personal item, which she described as a tactile connection to loved ones back on Earth. So that's what she's taking with her. Jeremy Hansen, he should be called Jeremy Handsome. He looks like he's going up for the part of Superman or something. He's got the big cleft chin. Anyway, he joined the Canadian Space Agency in 2009. He'd never flown in space before. Married with 3 children, and he was quite cute, actually. His gift. Oh no, it wasn't him. It was Victor Glover, I think his gift was. Oh no, it is him. Hansen will carry 4 moon-shaped pendants for his wife and 3 children, engraved with the phrase "moon and back," and set with their birthstones. The Canadian will also be taking maple syrup and maple cookies on his lunar voyage. That could get quite messy, couldn't it, maple syrup? You squeeze that out and it's a bit, yeah, and it is a bit stereotypical. But, you know, to the moon, that's cute, because when he gives them those necklaces, when he gets back to Earth, they will have been to the moon and back, which is cute, right? I mean, it's about as sugary as the maple syrup, in my view, but it's cute. It's cute. And Victor Glover, call sign Ike, reputedly short for I Know Everything. I love that. That's a cool nickname. A nod to his 3 master's degrees in flight test engineering, systems engineering and military operational art and science. He was a former US Navy fighter pilot and test pilot. I mean, test pilots as well, they're insane, they're nuts. I mean, they're literally testing stuff that's never flown before, and the dangers of that are extraordinary. So he's a man used to danger. And Glover said he will take with him a Bible, his wedding rings, and family heirlooms, along with a collection of inspirational quotations compiled by astronaut from Apollo 9, Rusty... Oh, I wish I hadn't penned myself into a corner here with this name. Rusty Schweikart? Sorry, Rusty. I'm sure you're not listening. Anyway, that's what they're taking up with them. What are you going to take up to the moon if you were on that flight right now? What would you take up to the moon? I'm going to take a quick break while you ponder that and come back and talk to Sheldon in just a moment.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a very good morning to you. It is Petrie here with you, and it's Talkback, your Talkback hour, and we've been talking about the extraordinary and historic launch of Artemis 2. Artemis 1 has already gone up and trialled this journey, but it went up uncrewed. It was unmanned. So that did the journey, and there were concerns with Artemis 1. Some of the heat protecting shields had cracked. So this is something that they're now testing it with human beings inside. So, you know, those 4 extraordinary astronauts that are now on their way to the moon and will be in orbit by now. So they will be in orbit and heading towards the moon. Quite amazing. Sammy has sent a message saying, no one I'd rather have watched this with. Thank you. Great job. I hope the great Howard Hughes got to see it wherever he was. We were just saying he would have absolutely loved that. Bless his heart. And Sam says, I couldn't go if I couldn't take my dog. It's kind of who I am at the moment as well. I turn down dinners and everything. Sorry, can't bring my dogs. Ernie said, I thoroughly enjoyed tonight's show. It's been brilliant. And I've just looked outside and it's a beautiful full moon. Thank you very much indeed for that. Let's go to Sheldon now, who's in Swansea. Sheldon, what a night.
What an amazing night.
Yeah.
What an amazing life I can share with you, Petrie, if that's okay for a moment.
No, I'm so thrilled with that. Absolutely.
I've been so lucky to have been born in the 20th century and lived into the 21st.
Yeah.
As far as this situation is concerned, I was extremely lucky. I was born on the 16th of July in 1948. And on the 16th of July in 1959, I was huddled around a little television. It was a black and white eco television with my family. And I discovered that we had just put a man on the moon. And I was 21 years old on that day. It was my birthday present.
Wow.
I can remember him jumping out there, Neil, and saying, this is one small step for man, but a giant leap for mankind.
Yeah.
And what a night that was. Now I've been lucky enough to be here for another 58 years and see us circumnavigate our little moon again. How wonderful a life I've had.
That is incredible, isn't it? To have been a president and a present and aware and old enough to enjoy that this hugely historical moments.
The amount of technological advance since that day is just amazing. And all the rest of the rubbish that I've witnessed in the world fades away. I don't care about our nonsense, our human frailties, which are everywhere at the moment. I only concentrate on the wonderful things I've had. And if I could take somebody up with me, if I was an astronaut, I know what I would do.
Go on.
I would take my wife up with me, and I would bring her back down, and I could then say to her, darling, we have done everything possible now.
That is beautiful. That's amazing. That's incredible. You see, this is what mankind should be, Sheldon. This is who we should be. Yeah. This is who we should be, and we have the capacity. It's proved. You know, we have wonderful
intellects in this world, amazing, stunning scientists and philosophers and all the different theoreticians. We'll forget the politics and we'll forget the warmongers. They don't even come into it tonight.
Yeah, you're right.
They mean nothing to anybody.
They shame us.
Them. It shames them. It actually shames them.
Yeah, it does.
And if they are not humiliated tonight, they should be.
They should be, because of how small they are. And,
yes, exactly.
And what a noose around the neck of mankind they are.
Absolutely. They are the only threat to humanity when you realise how beautiful human beings can be.
Yeah.
And how they wish to destroy us. It amazes me.
I know, and that is genuinely why I teared up. It's just like this. It's so beautiful a thing that this can be achieved, and all the teamwork that goes into that, human beings working together and from different countries, and
amazing.
And then at the same time, you look down towards the Earth, and the absolute pig's ear that we're making of it. Particularly at the moment,
and the stunning beauty of the planet.
Yeah,
and all they wish to do is
destroy it. They just want money. It's all about money. It's all about
it's all about. I'm sorry to say, but this is not a political statement. It's a fact. This is all about capitalism and money making and nothing else at all.
Yeah,
they are emotionless. They don't have any concept of beauty or reality at all in ordinary people's lives at all. None.
I mean, I wonder, because Trump's got his speech coming up. It's about 2:30 our time, I think. Yes. I wonder if he'll mention it. I hope he does.
Well,
but it's nothing to do with him, though, so he probably won't. I don't know.
No, you better have, because it is American in essence.
Yeah, it's NASA.
But of course, whether he claims any benefit out of it, I don't know, because at the end of the day, he's such a narcissist. If it's got nothing to do with him, he may not even mention it.
Well, that would be disgusting. That would be disgraceful. I'm sure they'll make sure he does.
And by the way, my darling, like before you go, one quick word.
Mm-hmm.
You and a lovely son who's high-ranking in the nuclear submarine business, okay?
Oh, it's my brother who's in the nuclear
I know it is, yes. You're not your son, your brother, rather. My apologies. I live in a village with 15,000 people. And this is amazing here. We have one currently serving nuclear submariner and one retired nuclear submariner in a tiny village like this.
Wow. That's amazing.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they are, if you're on a nuclear sub, you're the top of the food chain.
You are the best.
Yeah.
Because if anybody understands what a submariner goes through, or if they don't understand it, they better wake up.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on a submarine and I couldn't bear it. There's no way it's like, no, this is too close, too tight.
I have a problem with a small kitchen.
Yeah. Oh, Sheldon, it's adorable to talk to you. Thank you so much, and send my love to Faye as well, won't you?
Keep the faith and stay excited, okay?
I will, don't worry. I'm never going to lose my enthusiasm for this sort of stuff. Thank you, Sheldon, there. That's absolutely beautiful. Angie said, my late husband used to joke that he could take me to the moon and back with a winky face. So I'd take a picture of him. That's quite sweet, isn't it? Tonya in Devon. Hello, Tonya. Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning. Hi.
Hi. What would you take to the moon?
I think I'd have to my mascara, probably. I'd definitely.
I love that.
I had watched some videos on TikTok, I think it was, and I think there's quite a lot of talent up there, supposedly. So I've not had much luck on Earth, so I would, yeah.
Is it alien talent though? I mean,
yeah, I guess so.
You don't care. You don't mind.
Sorry.
You don't mind if it's an alien.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean,
human beings haven't worked, have they?
The talent. Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't had much luck down here, so I'm thinking, yeah, there could be. Who knows what's up there? Who's up there? What life is up there?
Yeah.
It might be an improvement. It might not be, but.
Well, it can't be worse.
No. So.
I love that. Just some mascara. Every woman should have mascara on her.
Yeah, I think that was the thing, wasn't it? It always has been the thing. It's always the number one thing, really, isn't it, for a woman? It's got to be.
It's got to be. Because with mascara as well, you can turn it into eyeliner.
Exactly, and there's other things. And also, think about it, because actually, yeah, but it's not just that as well, because, I mean, you don't need a pen then, so you can jot things down with the mascara as well.
That's true. You could do a bit of painting if you wanted to, if you were suddenly taken. You could do your eyebrows.
Yeah, and with the stick, yeah, and if any of the aliens give you the stick, can go straight through their whatever they've got.
Yeah, exactly. And also, don't forget, if you get grey hair, you can use the mascara to dye it.
That's true as well. Yeah.
I think that is a very sensible and grown-up thing to take with you to the moon, Tonya.
And it's also small, and you can fit it in. You know, it's convenient. You know?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. There's so many uses for it. Why hasn't everybody on the spaceship taken it?
I don't know.
Bonkers.
But I'm glad you're talking about it too. You know, because it is. It's very. I'm fascinated by the moon anyway. What is the moon for a start?
It's part of Earth. It was broken off Earth.
Well, yeah, this is one theory, isn't it? Because have you read that book, Who Built the Moon, by Christopher Knight?
No.
It's fascinating. I mean, I read that years ago, but it's about the physics of the moon is so weird. No one can explain it. It's like we're like a double planetary system, and it doesn't. It's the size and all the sort of measurements. Like it's 400 times smaller than the sun, and also 1/400th of the distance between the Earth and the moon is 1/400th of the distance between the sun and moon, and there's all these measurements going on that are weird, and they're all too perfect, you know. And the fact that it fits exactly over, they look the same size, the moon and the sun. I mean, that's odd. Why would they look? Because of the distances, because of the
distances, I suppose. You know, like you said, when you get the eclipses. But I just, you know, my scientific understanding of it is it was part of the Earth. It broke off, and flew away. And of course, even if it was a flat piece of the Earth or a rocky piece of the Earth, anything over a certain size in physics becomes a sphere.
Is that the whack? Because they had the whack theory, then they had the double whack. Because they had the whack theory, but they couldn't quite explain the physics, and then they came up with the double whack theory. But it is, I think you're right, that a piece did break off, but also NASA sort of supposedly did some experiments which found that it appears to be hollow, because it kind of, when they crashed into it, it rings like a bell, apparently. So it's like, you'd have to read the book. There's so much in it about the geometry and about our megalithic structures that are built around.
Oh, so it could actually be a spaceship itself.
Well, I mean, did you know 2001: Space Odyssey? That film.
Yeah.
Remember the whole thing about is there a trip switch on the moon that, you know, that when man will. I mean, I don't believe we've been to the moon yet. I think that was a hoax. But if we do get there, that will then flip a trip switch, which will then let the aliens or whoever built the moon know that we've
made it to the moon.
We've made it to the moon. Yeah, that's what 2001: Space Odyssey was sort of indicating, I think, because. No, it's fascinating when you look into. If you read that book about who built the moon, honestly, it's fascinating when it goes into all the strange physics of the moon and how it just can't really be. Nothing about it really makes sense as a natural satellite. It doesn't appear to be a natural satellite. It's like it was put there by aliens or something.
That is interesting. I mean, every scientist I've spoken to, or geologist, or when they've brought rocks back from the moon and all of that kind of thing, not just manned flight, of course, we've had other things that have done that, you know, that it's so remarkably similar to some substances on Earth. And that's why, of course, we want to go back up there as a species, because we actually want to. We've not had enough time to completely destroy the Earth yet by absolutely ravaging it. So we're going to go to the moon and ravage that as a species, because we're disgusting.
You're right. I mean, the Earth has to come first. I mean, let's not destroy everything else. We need to look after the Earth.
Yeah. Before we go and destroy another planet.
Yeah, what you're saying about the physics there, though, is what you're saying about the geologists, is that's all covered in this book as well, and they talk about how, it did appear like that, you know, there's pieces of it, there's a piece of the Earth, but actually, that, again, because of, and you have to go into it in depth, looking into the book, that can't really be explained either, and it's read the book and you'll know what I mean, because I can't explain it all. But
I get it. I mean, it sounds really fascinating, and we'll hopefully we'll know much more about it in 2028 when they land back on the moon. Hopefully.
Do you believe that we actually went the first time?
I do. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but there was somebody said to me a while ago, how did they get the photographs, the images back to Earth so quickly? because there wasn't the same satellite systems and things like that at the time, and I kind of went, oh yeah, I'd have to look into that. But you know, you speak to people like Andy Lound or Dr. David Horn, as I spoke to earlier, and they will tell you that we emphatically went to the moon, and maybe the pictures were faked in order to put them in the paper, but they say we went.
Actually, I don't believe, because the rocket that we had at the time wasn't capable, and the G-forces also, the human body couldn't have stood them, and I'm not sure if anything's changed there. I don't know. I don't believe those scientists, and I do think that I thought the most ridiculous thing about, obviously I was a child then, so I did believe it, but when I started looking into it more deeply is when there was supposedly had that phone call. What was his name? The president at the time, he's gone out of my head now, but anyway, he was talking to them on the moon, immediately from the telephone. Well, in those days, talking immediately? I mean, he didn't have the technology.
Yeah, there's things like that, but those things could have been faked, rather than the actual mission being faked. So I'm prepared to accept that the pictures were possibly faked. I'm prepared to accept that the phone call was probably faked for dramatic purposes. But I still have belief that they did go to the moon. But now we've got this one to look forward to, and the next one they won't be able to fudge it at all if it was indeed fudged. But Tonya, I love your idea. I love that mascara.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, good morning to you. It is Petrie here with you, and we're talking about the moon, and I'm asking you what you would take to the moon, because the astronauts that are on their way there now, each of them took a personal item with them. So I was just wondering what you would take to the moon. My team have been really thinking very hard about this and come up with some very serious suggestions of what they would take to the moon. They include Milky Ways, a galaxy, magic stars and Mars bars. So you can tell they've really taken this seriously. But no Doritos, and that's in reference to Donald Trump, I would imagine. Anyway, loads of messages coming through on this as well. David said, if I could take anything to the moon, I would take my mother and father and scatter their ashes once we'd landed. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Or would they not be? Would they be happy with that? But every time you looked up at the moon, you could see they're there. Hi, Petrie. Oh, great. I'm glad you enjoyed the show, Jordan. I would take as many books as possible to the moon. My wife, Maria Del Mar, says she would take as many pairs of knickers to the moon as she could. See, I love the way women think. We're very practical. Toilet on the spaceship, lots of clean knickers and mascara. I'd be happy with that. I'd be very happy with that. Peter says, I'd take a tin of corned beef and Keir Starmer. We could eat Keir Starmer and I could talk to the tin of corned beef. Another woman here, Alison, saying, I'd take Caniston cream after being in that suit with no windows open and no air to circulate. We're just very practical women, just very, very practical. So let me go back to the calls now, and Liam is in Accrington. Hello, Liam. Good morning.
Good morning, Petrie. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you for taking this call.
Oh, you're welcome. Did you enjoy the launch?
I didn't see it, actually.
Oh, no. You missed it. We did it on the show.
Yeah, I'm very sorry about that.
That's all right. I tell you what, it'll be all over the telly tomorrow. Don't worry about it.
But I tell you something. I'd take myself to the moon. That way, I can get rid of Keir Starmer and Donald Trump.
It's a shame that we'd have to go that far, but I'm with you, Liam. I think we would have to go that far to get get rid of those two. I mean,
I'd take you with me.
I'd love that. Can you imagine? Just have a window and just open the window and push.
Yeah, I'd take the whole talk team with me.
Would you? So we could keep you entertained.
Yeah.
Can you imagine all of us talking at once, though, fighting for the microphone? It would be a nightmare.
Well, imagine Jeremy Kyle.
I mean, this is why we're not in the same studio at the same time, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. You wouldn't get a word in sideways.
Exactly.
It would be a disaster.
But mind you might get a word in sideways with Peter Caldwell.
Yes. He's polite. He would be polite. Kevin would just shout. Kevin would give me a headache.
Yeah. Ian as well.
Ian is very good. I've known Ian a long time. We worked in a different radio station together. He's very calm.
And Julia. My God.
I'm not sure what she'd be like in space. She might be quite cool in space, though. She might be. You never know.
I very much doubt it.
You never know. I just know that it would be between Kyle and Kevin who would be fighting over who would talk the most. Yeah. But none of us would get to say a word. That would be it, Liam. You and I would just have to sit in a corner chatting quietly. We wouldn't get a word in.
We'd talk about mental health and things like that.
Yeah, we'd have a nice time. We'd be fine.
Yeah.
We don't need the. In fact, don't take the others. Just take me. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
We don't need to take them. We don't need to see that.
And also, I'd take Queen Victoria's Diaries.
Oh, would you?
Yeah.
Just for a good read.
Oh, it is definitely a good read.
Oh, well, you could read it too.
Yeah.
There you go, Liam. We've got it all sorted. Thank you very much indeed, Liam. You're a sweetheart. I've got to go because I want to squeeze in another call before the end of the programme. And Pat has called from here in London. Hi, Pat. Did you enjoy the launch? Did you see it?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Very, very good. It brought, I was a boy in '69. Well, sort of pre-teenage maybe, but no, we'd already done it. They sent Apollo 8. To be honest, my point was, we stepped away from the moon.
Yeah.
We done it. We stepped away for political, and then they built the death trap called the space shuttle. and then they built a Meccano set, which is the International Space Station, and Mir, which served no purpose. I mean, we went from wading knee deep in the ocean of space to back to the shore.
We've almost had to start again.
Ripple over our ankles.
Yeah, I agree with you, Pat.
Backwards.
Yeah, we did.
And they say, oh, the technology to now, but we'd have, as the decades went on, we'd have adapted to the different technologies. We'd have had a probably half a city up there by now.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, if we weren't wasting so much money, and I keep saying this, on wars and pathetic things, we what a species we could be.
And we'd have been to Mars a couple of times as well.
Yeah.
See what happened. The light of progress